So Andrea Erickson-Quiroz, welcome to the Forum for the Future of Agriculture. It's the 15th year of this forum. So you are the Managing Director for Water Security, the Nature Conservancy. You're based in Wyoming.
Yes.
Yes, and well, welcome to Brussels and to the panel today. Now, you were talking about how we can act better, the case for improving biodiversity, soil health and water resilience. What was your main message to the forum today?
I think the most important thing is that agriculture, first of all, we aren't going to solve any of those problems without agricultural leadership. And I think it's important to know that there's already been improvements. There's already improvements in water quality while we're increasing production. But we're stalling a bit, and there is a problem of the growing needs around the global water cycle that is shifting, climate that's shifting. The main important thing to do now is let's bring in larger coalitions to act together. So using agriculture as a place where it's a convening ground, where we all have an interest in its success. How can we make the business case that agriculture can make positive change, but they need this sort of transition, financing, funding, technical assistance, social, sort of support systems around them, policies that are enabling to be able to get better water outcomes, water quality and quantity, biodiversity, and climate resilience.
They're big issues, aren't they? And one of the sentiments, I think, from the panel was bring problems together to find solutions. You've just talked about a business case. I mean, how important is that, is joining up the dots of where the money needs to be, not just how much, but where it needs to be, when it needs to be, and the collaborations that need to underpin and make this happen. I think we all agree change is urgent, but in making it happen, give me some of your insights there.
Well, there's two levels of business case. First of all, none of this will work unless it's an economically viable model for the farmer. So there has to be a strong business case, even if it takes several years of transition to get there, but there has to be a strong business case for the farmer. The other business case is the social business case that helps us understand the interested parties. So, for example, working in an example that was used in the New York City watersheds, Catskills Mountains in New York City, which we've seen work in 43 different communities around the world, we can make a business case for how the large bulk water users downstream, large reservoirs, municipal water supplies, can operate with less money, less operating costs, and reduce or defer capital inputs if we work in the watershed and change practices up there. So then there's a question, where do we need to make that change? What's the most effective change that we can make? How much of it? How much cost? And then what's the benefit in the downstream? And we make a very clear business case why we can make those sort of connections help in the transitions with financial flows, but just in a sort of a general societal way that we're all working together to solve problems.
And you pick on that particular example, but you need more than just a little example here and there. But I think they are growing. You mentioned Nairobi as well. So there are pockets of change that are really happening to the business case to understand the need to invest in the watershed and then, of course, improve soil health.
Right. So in Nairobi, the business case that we went through several years ago is basically a 2-to-1. If we invest $1 in the upper watershed for improvements in soil health, terracing, riparian buffer strips, the kinds of things that we knew were necessary to reduce the sediment load that's coming into the reservoirs important to Nairobi, that there would be a $2 benefit. Part of that is actually in the improved livelihoods on farm. And so a farmer there, a woman that I got to know, talked about how now with the investments on farm, she has irrigated water on farm that she didn't have before, and a number of other investments that were brought to her because of her engagement with the project. So she was doing the hard work of the terracing and soil health, and she had these other on-farm investments. She's in the market earlier. She has longer growing season. She has better pricing and diverse crops. Those are real benefits that are in the agricultural community, and quite happily we're seeing the benefits downstream as well for the water supply.
And examples like that then, we want to look at this scaled up. These things need to happen. Removing the barriers to get things done, I think that was part of the panel discussion, wasn't it? I mean, money's one of them. politics and policy is another, for example.
Right. And so in the case of something like working in agriculture, it could be the transition financing, so working with agricultural credit to make it better terms for those who are working on transition to better practices. It could be, and there are many cases of corporations who are trying to improve their resilience in their supply chain might invest. In the case of working with bulk water supplies, lots of times there's regulatory steps that we need to go through to unlock funding. And you can match funding coming from large public entities, like the laws that are considered and the funding that's considered here with the European Commission for farmers in Europe, or it could be thinking about how Europe is supporting farmers globally. So you can put together a whole sort of bevy of options and tools to help make those transitions happen. I think all of them are needed to scale.
How important is it to talk about them in a forum like this today, to really underpin the need to pull together and to supercharge the innovation and to get it funded and done?
Well, I think what's really wonderful to learn today is how many farmers are in the room having this conversation. So that was exciting to see. And as been said, there's lots of challenges here, but there's an opportunity to lead. So whatever gets sorted here in terms of the right mix of incentives and directives and supports the farming community to make changes over time, that's going to help us make the case elsewhere. There are already great cases that are happening here in Europe that we do use as examples when we talk in other places of the world about opportunities to scale. So I just would love to see more. And the real joining of nature restoration, nature conservation, and soil health that's on the table here is an important step.
So more of the same.
Yes.
Scale it up.
Yes.
Quicker.
Yes.
Yes.
Keep
All of the
going.
above.
Keep going.
Keep going. Thank you so much, Andrea. Enjoy the rest of the forum.
Thank
and
you.
Do keep going.
Yes, thank you very much. You too.
Pleasure.
Mine.